What it do, NMA crew? Hey man, listen. Today we're going to be talking about milk outside a bag of milk, outside a bag of milk, and milk inside a bag of milk, inside a bag of milk. Two Russian games, I believe they're Russian. They're part of a 2-game long series, which is in total only a few hours long, and there are 7 possible endings to get. It's a point-and-click style adventure and a traditional visual novel style game with somewhat branching paths. Only the second one's a point-and-click style adventure, but yeah, just going to talk about it real quick. I don't have a tremendous amount of things to say about it, but I will say it was a highly pleasant aesthetic and atmospheric experience. The first game in particular has these very striking visuals with a super pixelated style that makes it almost impossible to make out any fine details of what you're looking at. Everything is just covered in this red, blood-tinged hue, and it's just pretty much unnerving to look at literally any of the frames from the first game. Even if it's depicting something very mundane and simple, it just looks disturbing, and your mind tends to wander thinking about what you may be looking at because of the fact that there are so many blanks to fill in. So there's that, which also fits into the game thematically. It's about, a girl with maybe every mental illness known to man. She says at one point that she doesn't want to disclose her diagnoses, but it's got to be every diagnosis because she just can't. This is a mess. If this is what the inside of her head looks like, this is pretty nuts. But it's supposed to put you into her shoes and show how difficult completing even what we would see as mundane tasks can be for somebody who is just this broken. The second game goes more into her character, but the first game was, in my opinion, a stronger aesthetic experience because it was so rough and experimental and just sort of rough around the edges. The games both have this very eerie soundtrack. It reminds me of an old anime movie called Angel's Egg, which is one of my favorite horror anime and one of my favorite anime movies in general. It's a off-putting, extraterrestrial sounding OST, which sort of evokes feelings of, once again, discomfort, uncertainty. It makes you feel like you're interacting with something extraterrestrial, foreign, which is obviously a good way to communicate having tremendous amount of anxiety and difficulty dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. The character actually mentions during the first game that, so it's a little weird because it's kind of meta because she mentions that she is pretending to be in a visual novel and talking to a visual novel reader, which is not actually true from her perspective. But little does she know, it is true, because here we are reading a visual novel about somebody who thinks that they're in a visual novel but doesn't really think so. It's definitely very weird, adds to the whole mindfucky atmosphere of it all 100%. And that's kind of what I like about the first game so much, is that it's beautiful in its simplicity. It's very indie. There are only 2 possible endings. There's basically a death ending, and then there's a real ending that gets a bit more heartfelt, and then the second game is a chronological continuation of what happens after she gets home. Really, really weird, creepy stuff. And the decision to delve into the point-and-click style in that second game is one that's interesting to me because it definitely it makes it more interactive and it gives the player more of a sense of control, which I didn't know how to feel about at first, but knowing that it's basically you just clicking around her room and at all the other points in the game it does go back to that normal visual novel style, I like it because I think to me it kind of communicates that the room is the place where she feels the most comfortable, the most at ease. That's the place where the visuals of her are the most lucid and not horribly jumbled and nonsensical. So I kind of like that, as it communicates the room as being something of a safe haven or one of the only places where she feels sane, not anxious, and confident enough to have thoughts and have normal conversations and see the world in a normal light. I didn't mind that at all. The second game has 5 endings. There's the ending with the stairs, the ending with the door, the ending with the mirror, the ending with the boy, and then the ending with the, I don't remember what the other one was, but the ending with the boy once again loops it around into like a very unsettling, weird, meta sort of time loop thing. It's a little bit hard to describe because it's not actually a time loop at all, but it sort of puts her in the perspective of the voice in her head, which doesn't make any sense, but it's in somebody else's head. This is not a good explanation whatsoever, but that's why you guys should all just go and read it. It's definitely a game where the message is very much in the medium. It's like whatever the person who made it wanted to say. I can't speak to if he's like struggling with certain insane mental illnesses or anything like that, but it's clear that what he wanted to say, he couldn't communicate just in words or with like a particularly cohesive story. I'm not saying the things that happen don't make sense, but I'm just saying he definitely chose to have such a weird, absurdist little indie game to outlet all of his thoughts and emotions for a reason. And I think the atmosphere and the aesthetic is what drives home this game more than anything for me. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. The soundtrack's amazing. If you guys don't want to play the game, I'd suggest at least listening to the soundtrack. It's a good time. Yeah, have a good day, guys.